In this video, I'm going to show you 12 creative tips for Luminar 3. Luminar is an excellent image processing application and a great addition to your post-processing workflow, or even a cost-effective alternative to something such as Lightroom. If you would like to try Luminar 3, then please check the description below for a link and discount code. In this tip, I'm going to show you how to create the teal and orange effect using the curves filter. The first thing to do is add filters and choose curves. Let's just hide our filters so that we can see. Then select the red channel. Place a dot in the center of the curve as an anchor. Place a dot and bring down the bottom half of the curve. Then place a dot and bring up the top half of the curve. Next, select the blue channel. Again, place an anchor point in the center of the curve. Place a dot and bring up the bottom half of the curve. Then add a dot and bring down the top half of the curve. Next, select the green channel. Create our anchor point. Then place a dot in the center of the top half of the green, and another dot in the centre of the bottom half of the green. These will be our control points. If we select the bottom dot first and move it down, then the teal colour becomes more blue, and moving the dot up makes the teal colour more green, so we can set how teal we want it. Our water and shadows are all nice and teal. If we select our top control point and bring it down, then the orange becomes more red, as you can see here. If we move it up, then the orange becomes more yellow, like so. All we have to do is set it at the required position in between, and that's it. We have orange and teal. And that's how you create an orange and teal effect with a single curves adjustment. In this tip, I'm going to show you how to change the colour of an eye. To start, we'll select Add Filters. We are looking for the photo filter, which is here. Let's just hide the filters. To start with, we increase the amount on the photo filter. Set it to maximum so that we can see we have a colour change. At the moment, it's affecting the whole image. So we just select the mask brush to allow us to isolate the iris. Okay, we'll right click, set our size nice and small. Softness is fine at maximum. Opacity to 100. And just start to paint. Automatically, the mask will disappear from the rest of the screen and will appear just where you're painting. I'll use the scroll wheel to zoom in for finer control and just paint all around the iris, trying to avoid the pupil but including the highlights. Just keep painting until we have the whole of the iris masked in. Paint, paint, paint. Let's go quite close to the edge of the eyelid there. We're getting close, but it needs a little clean up, so click Erase and use Erase to tidy the edges a little bit. I think they're just a little bit harsh. Okay, that's getting there. And one final little paint just at the bottom here, about there. Erase just to get rid of that tiny blob. I think that's fine. Let's zoom back out to take a look. There we go, we have the iris completely isolated using the mask brush. The next stage is to actually set the colour that we would like our eye to be. I think I'd like to give her a nice green eye. Reduce the amount to 0, and then as we increase the amount, the photo filter will add more and more of the green which we selected into the image. It will mix it with the blue colour which is already there. The eye is going from blue to more and more green. Very nice. Okay, that seems to be fine. We now have a nice green coloured iris. Bringing the amount down makes the colour more subtle, and bringing the amount back up will make it more pronounced. And if we set it to about here, that looks very striking indeed. Right, let's look at some advanced controls. If we'd like to reduce the intensity of the green, then we can either bring down the amount, which will revert the green back towards blue, which we don't want. We want to keep the green but just reduce the intensity. All we do is reduce the saturation. And as we reduce the saturation, it reduces the intensity of the green. This way we reduce the intensity. So now we have a much more natural looking iris. If we want to have a much more pure colour green without any of the original eye colour at all, then all we have to do is increase the amount slider to the maximum and then bring down the saturation slider to the point where we want it. Now we have the pure green because we've set the amount to maximum, and it's not too intense because we've reduced our saturation, and we can still use the hue slider to change the eye colour. We could give her a lovely red eye if we like, but I think a more natural green will do. In this tip, I'm going to show you how to add a coloured vignette to your image. Instead of being just dark, it will have a nice tint to it. Select Add Filters, and then select the filter that we want, which in this case is not brightness contrast, it is exposure. Okay, just hide that. Bring down our exposure. There we go, that's nice and dark, that'll do. And next, to add the vignette, we go into the mask brush and click Radial Mask. Then we just drag our radial mask out from the center, and I would like it to be oval to fit the image, so just drag the edges. Just drag out the sides. This way we have complete control over the size and shape of our vignette. And I think that will do. And using the exposure slider, we can make the vignette as dark as we like. I think I'm just going to refine the shape a little more, dragging it more towards the edge, like so, and create a really nice, soft, large vignette. There we go. Last tweak on the exposure to make it a nice, large, soft vignette. Okay, so now we have a nice vignette which we created using the exposure filter. If we take a look, it's quite effective. Now we just need to add the colour to the vignette. So we add filters and go down to the photo filter. A really useful filter. Hide this. We want the photo filter to only affect the same part of the image as the vignette. So we bring up the amount so we get some colour, but it's colouring the whole of the image. As you can see, we're getting a purple cast everywhere. Of course, we can fix this. The way to resolve it is to just copy the mask from the exposure filter into the photo filter. Just click here and select Mask and Copy. Then click here on the photo filter and select Mask and Paste. Bingo! Because we took the mask from the exposure filter, it's only applying colour in the same place as our vignette effect. Now we can have a play. We can go into our photo filter and use the hue slider to change the colour of the vignette. I think just about here will do, a nice teal colour. And we can increase the amount of colour if we like, or even reduce the amount of colour. I think that's about right. And we can still use our exposure slider to lighten or darken the vignette. Isn't that nice? We have complete control over the lovely vignette we've created, and it can be any colour we want. Before and after, before and after. Very nice indeed. Here's a pretty picture of a flower, but I would like to isolate the flower and the stem from the background to make it stand out somewhat. There's a really nice way of doing this, which is quite natural. We just add a vignette filter and then set our vignette amount. I'll overdo it for effect for now. Give ourselves a nice soft feather. Just reduce the amount a tad, like so. Now all we have to do is select the masking brush, select erase, then right click and set our size nice and small, set our opacity to maximum and start to paint on the flower. Now wherever we paint, it will remove the mask from the vignette, and so remove the vignette from the flower and any area of the image where we erase the mask. Let's make our brush slightly smaller to get closer to the edges. It doesn't need to be absolutely precise, as we do have a soft brush. Not for the purposes of this demonstration anyway. There we go. That looks pretty good. Now reduce the size even further and zoom in a bit so that we can go down the stem. And being as careful as I can be, raise the mask from the stem. I would normally take a lot more time doing this and be more careful, but I think this will be effective enough for this tutorial. Okay, I think that will do. And now if we take a look, before and after, our flower literally pops out from the background. And if we toggle the vignette effect, we can see that this gives the effect of local lighting, like a flash or something like that. And of course this will work with all sorts of subjects like people or animals, anything you like really. Cool. Here's a nice, quick and simple way to make the iris pop using the curves filter. All we do is add filters and curves, hide this. Now normally we would use the masking brush to paint in the iris, but I already have that mask in the photo filter layer from the eye colour tip. I'll just use the mask for that. Just go to photo filter, mask and copy, then select curves, mask and paste. Now I have the iris mask in my curves layer, as can be seen in the little mask icon. I think the easiest way to do this is to place a point in the centre, place a point in the middle of the top half, and then place another point in the middle of the bottom half. Now if we raise the position of the top point, our bright areas will get brighter, and if we lower the bottom point like so, our darker areas will get darker, and we have pop. The more we raise the upper point, the brighter the lighter parts become, and bring it down to reduce, just like so. I think I'll just leave it there. The more we lower the bottom point, then the darker the dark parts become. And there we have it, a quick way to make eyes pop with complete control over shadows and highlights. Very nice. In this tip, we'll put the sun rays to another use. We could use the sun rays filter as light from a lamp. So if we add filters and choose sun rays, place the center of our sun ray directly in the center of the light source. We'll increase the amount, reduce the number of rays. I think it will look better about like that. Increase the warmth. Let's just hide the filter catalog. Then reduce the length down significantly and maybe reduce the amount a little bit more. Then select the masking brush, and once we have our masking brush selected, select erase, check our opacity, 50, that's fine, increase the size, and then just start erasing the sun rays from the mask. Keep going around the lamp until you get the shape you want. Make sure you erase it from everywhere that is being affected. Now, if we reduce the amount a little more, I think that looks pretty good. And it looks even better with both lamps done. There you have it, an alternative use for the sun rays filter. In this tip, we'll enhance the sky filter. The sky filter does a very good job even on clouds, but with the addition of just a couple more filters, we can create even more dramatic skies. So add filters and scroll up to the sky enhancer. Then just whack it up to maximum. There we go, it's done a pretty good job of enhancing the cloud detail. Not bad at all. Let's just check the whole picture. As you can see, a very nice job indeed. But if we add a dehaze filter, like so, and up the amount, I'm going to put it up to maximum. There we go, we have much more definition in the clouds. That's pretty good, but we can do better. We can do a little more, I think. So let's just find the structure filter. There it is. And up the amount. But if we go too far, the clouds start to look raggedy. So if we just up it a little bit, then increase the softness a tad and up it again. Then increase the softness again. Now we have lots of lovely definition in the clouds with nice highlights, but without them looking all raggy. They look nice and soft. This is good, but we can do even more. They look a little flat, so adding one more filter, a whites and blacks filter, gives us, let's just close the filters. Now we can increase the whites to make the whites pop out a little bit, and then decrease the blacks to give us more definition. And now we have very black clouds with lovely white highlights. I can even see sun rays over here. Very nice, beautiful. But what we need to do now is to isolate these sky enhancements from the ground, so we're free to edit the ground without affecting the sky. So just go to our dehaze, select the mask brush, click on erase, right click and set the opacity to 100, and just paint away, wiping the dehaze off the landscape. Like so, erase the dehaze completely from the landscape. It takes a little time to get every little bit, but it will be worth it in the end. Okay, the dehaze is gone. And now we need to do the same for the structure and the whites blacks. The easiest way to do that is go to the mask and copy in the dehaze and go to the structure and mask, paste, and the structure has disappeared from the ground. And then go to our whites blacks and mask and paste. Our sky is now beautifully enhanced whilst our landscape is completely untouched. Now using these masks we can edit the floor without touching the sky. And if we take a quick look, we can see Luminar with the sky enhancer and a couple of filters has done a great job. In this tip we're going to very quickly add the teal and orange effect using the channel mixer. The first thing I'm going to do is add a new adjustment layer so that I can control the opacity of the effect. Using the layer's opacity slider, I will be able to control the amount that the channel mixer will affect the underlying image. Next, add filters and channel mixer. Once we have our channel mixer, all we need to do is to just make sure the blue channel is selected. Then go into the reds and type in -50. Next, go into the green and type 150. And finally, go into the blue and type 0. And bingo, we have our effect. It's done. We have teal and orange. Absolutely fantastic. And now, if we want to reduce the effect of the teal and orange, all we have to do is go up to the layer opacity. Then just bring the slider down for none, or bring it up to the point that you want it. And there we have it, our teal and orange effect using the channel mixer, and that's why we used a separate layer so we had the control. Excellent! With this tip, I'm going to show you how to very quickly smooth skin. Here I have a couple of enhancements. I've added a photo filter and curve to enhance the eyes. We can see before and after. She's got nice green sparkly eyes. She's very pretty, but her skin could do with just a little help. All we need to add is a single soft focus filter. Just get rid of the filters. Up the amount of soft focus until her skin is quite clean, but now it's appearing too bright. We just reduce the brightness until we think it's something that we would like. Now at the moment the soft focus is affecting every part of the skin, which we don't want. All we do is use the mask brush, like so we can paint the soft focus onto the mask. Bring up the brush settings and set the opacity to maximum. We'll leave the size and softness alone for now, then just start to draw. And as we draw, we are painting in the soft focus effect locally onto the face, just in the areas where we want the skin to be smoothed. Just paint all over the larger areas, trying to avoid the details like the lips and the eyes, all around the cheeks and chin. Making sure to cover both sides nice and evenly. It does take a little while, but it's well worth it. I think, yep, we can go over the nose, like so. And then get ourselves a smaller brush, so we can get into smaller areas and closer to the detailed areas, like so. Then an even smaller brush, and zoom in. Then we can go in around the eyebrows, and around all of the edges like so. With the small brush we can get in and smooth everything but the fine details like eyelashes and eyes. We can get really close right round the edges of the lips and the contours of the face like so. There, that looks pretty good. Now let's just increase the size again and just go over the neck quickly. And there we have it, using a single soft focus filter to smooth the skin. Before and after, and before and after. I think that's pretty good. Why not use the sunrays filter for something completely and utterly different? Maybe to create a background for an icon. Let's add filters and select sun rays and just hide these. Now to quickly center the sun rays, we just type 50 on the X and then 50 on the Y. Now the sun rays are exactly center. First I'll use the amount slider to increase the brightness, and once that's done, increase the length. Actually the amount is a little high. Then up the number and play around with the randomized slider until I get something that looks nice. Perfect, that's a good start. Next I'm going to add a vignette. Bring the amount down like so, and then feather it massively, and one final little tweak on the amount. There we go, perfect. Now we have our icon background. Select File and Export. That's the directory I want to place it in, so I'll just call it Background. And all of the other settings are fine, so hit Export. Then just wait a couple of seconds. Once it has finished exporting, I can boot up an image editor. I'm going to use Affinity Photo, but you could use one of your choice, such as GIMP or Paint.net or Photoshop. I'll hit File and open the image. There it is. There we have our background ready for us to place something interesting on top. Next I'll go File and Place and select this nice smiley. Then with Affinity Photo I can just place the smiley on top of my background. Select the Move tool to get rid of the controls, and there we have it, a big happy smiley on a background with rays. All created really quickly because I could use the sunlight filter in Luminar. Excellent! In this tip I will show you the standard way of creating the orange and teal effect using the HSL filter. So, add filter, HSL, hide the filters. First things first, go to our hue. First we move the red towards orange. Already you can see this is starting to change. And move yellow towards orange. This area is completely changed to orange. Then we move our greens towards aqua, and then our blues towards aqua too. There we have it, a very pretty teal and orange effect. Orange and teal. Now if we just go into the saturation slider, the greens tend to go a little bit overboard when doing this, so it's a good idea just to bring the saturation of the greens down a tad. Just slide the saturation of the greens down to a point where you think they look natural. For this image I think I'll just increase the saturation of the oranges a little bit, just like that. There we have it, teal and orange with HSL. Fantastic! As a final tip, I'll show you some landscape painting. We'll use techniques we've already learned to paint on our picture and maybe create a blue sky or green grass. All we have to do is add our old friend, the photo filter. Here we go. And hide these. Then just as usual set our amount to what we would like. Now I'm doing the sky here, so I'm just setting the amount for the sky. If we go too much it will be far too heavy, so just about there. Then select our hue, a nice blue colour and slightly turquoise. We could set our saturation if we wanted to, but I think I'll just have it at maximum for now. Now preserve luminosity, if we set it to no, it will actually affect our luminance too much, so I'm going to leave it on yes. We want to preserve the luminosity values in the image. So now all I have to do is select the mask brush, like so, and brush. Now as usual I just paint away on the mask. Right click and my size is fine, softness 100, opacity I want to be at 100. Then start painting and here we go. We are painting in a nice blue sky. Just paint over the whole area, including through the trees. We want to see the blue sky coming through the gaps in the trees. And there we have it, our sky is now completely blue. And we can place a little bit of blue into the water, just like so. Actually, that water is too blue, so I'll just go up to erase and then increase my size like so and reduce the opacity to, I think, down to about halfway will do, and start erasing the blue out of the water, just removing it from the areas I don't really want a blue reflection from the sky. There we have it. I think that's very nice indeed. Now we have the blue sky on the water in the distance, but not all the way into the foreground, so it's not overdone. And that is how we paint a blue sky into the scene. In fact, you can see here I've missed a bit. So just select paint again, set our opacity, etc., and paint it back in. And there we have it, we have a lovely blue sky. But we're not finished there. I think now we shall add a nice bit of pink into the horizon. So all we do is add another filter. Add filters and photo filter. One photo filter for every colour we paint. We'll get rid of that and deselect this. Go to our new photo filter. Set the amount. It's already a shade of red, but let's make it a little more pink. Increase the amount to what I would like. And then select the masking brush. Then check my brush settings. My size is fine, softness is fine, so just up the opacity to maximum. And then just start painting into the horizon, like so, all the way through the trees. Keeping it as straight as I can, though I'm in a bit of a rush. And I think I'll stretch up a little bit to about there. Now I don't like the transition, so I'm going to select Erase and set the opacity right down to about there. I think will be fine. And just start to erase. Erase it away from the sky bit by bit until I end up with a much smoother transition and it's just not quite as harsh. Erase it from the solid parts of the trees and from the solid parts of the land, as they wouldn't be pink. Actually, the more I erase, the better it's looking. I think subtle is best in this picture. So now we have a little bit of pink on the horizon, but we could just add a tad of pink on the water. All we have to do is, just like so, paint some pink into the water and then back to erase just to erase it from where I don't want it. And that's lovely. Bit of pink in the horizon and the water. Okay, last but not least, let's create some nice green grass. New photo filter, hide filters, deselect old mask, increase the amount on new filter, change the colour to a nice green for grass, and as usual select the masking brush. So brush and then right click, set my amounts. I would like my opacity to be at 100, everything else is fine, and just start painting. I'm just going to paint over this grass, and don't worry if you overdo it because we have complete control. We can go in and reduce the amount, like so. I only want a little bit, just a little touch of green in the grass to give it that little touch of colour. Excellent. Now all we have to do is take a look at our image. If we take a look at before and after, you can see we've got a nice blue sky, pink horizon and green grass using 1, 2, 3 photo filters.